Hey guys, Team 19 was inspired by the DIY apocalyptic awesomeness of Mad Max Fury Road, and we made our very own potato cam so we can use potatoes to film stuff in the apocalypse. A lot of people have been complaining about the quality of our videos lately, but you know what? I think this is great quality for a potato and you can shove it. So let's get into it. Mad Max Fury Road, I finally saw it, got a chance to see it this weekend. It knocked my socks off. I had the best time watching it. Oh my gosh. And the reason why I didn't immediately go out and see it is because I had seen it a year ago in like this weird Nielsen screening. I randomly got into one of those deals and I saw it like when it was not completed, obviously. A lot of the CG wasn't done. The soundtrack wasn't in there. And it just like, when I saw that version of it, I was like, I don't know if this movie is going to be that great. And then I went and saw it again. I was like, oh my God, they fixed everything that I had a problem with in the year since I've seen it. I was very fucking impressed. And I think a lot of it has to go to the soundtrack. Before when I saw it, it's like the scene just kept going with the cars and there was no rhythm to it, you know? And this fucking amazing soundtrack that they got for these car chases is just perfect. I mean, it's like they got to recut and re-edit everything to this music. And it just was like really tight and just like put you there, and it was just so fantastic. I don't think director George Miller could have had this movie come out at a better fucking time. This movie came out perfect timing. George Miller is a professed lover of practical effects. I mean, that dude loves making shit that's really there. All those cars, you know, all the ridiculous like weapons and prosthetics and stuff like that going on. It's like it's mostly practical, which is totally awesome. And it just goes to show you, like, this movie, especially compared to fucking Tomorrowland, which is like a CGI fuckfest, this movie shows you how awesome practical effects are, you know, just to the nth degree, you know. Plus the costume design was awesome. I mean, all the characters look great. I mean, the whole movie looked great. The color correction was awesome. When I saw it, it was not nearly as colorful. I loved what they did with the color correction. It was fantastic. It was so nice looking. And you have this fucking character, Furiosa, played by Charlize Theron, who is just so fucking cool. Like, it's just so great. It's to get an awesome, badass, believable female character in a movie. And this movie is really her movie. It's not Max's movie, which is how it should be. Max never really, he always just gets caught up in other people's bullshit, you know? Like, that's how all the other movies have gone. Like, he's just on his way and he gets caught up and then whatever. And this movie continued that tradition, which I thought was great. The reason why Mad Max is so fucking cool is because he doesn't talk a lot, you know? And they keep him a little bit mysterious, you know? And I really liked that a lot. I loved how Tom Hardy did the mumbling whenever he talked. Even the few lines that he did have, it's like you couldn't even understand what he was saying half the time because he was like mumbling or just trailing off. I thought that was a fantastic choice on Tom Hardy's part. Great job. And also, you know, like the movie itself, like the themes in the movie are very feminine. They're very, you know, you have this woman, Furiosa. She takes the breeding stock of Immortan Joe, who is also a fucking really cool character. He looks so awesome. Takes them and is going to leave them to find like her old matriarchal society or whatever that she used to live in. It was all the mothers, the mini mothers. Where they work with nature and all this stuff, you know. And I thought that was fantastic. So it's like it's got all these really great like feminist themes going on in it. And I thought that was fantastic. The editing was fantastic. I touched on that earlier, but it's just really well done. It kind of like reminds me of The Fifth Element in the fact that it just constantly has this rhythm and this heartbeat in the whole movie, you know, and you're just like constantly going. It's almost like alive, you know. I really like that feeling a lot. Also, the world that we're in, Mad Max world, this post-apocalyptic world where, you know, nuclear radiation and economic collapse and war has just destroyed everything. There are no resources, you know, there's not a lot of gasoline, there's not a lot of water, there's not a lot of food. Everyone's fighting all over these things. And I really enjoyed the Citadel and being in the Citadel and seeing like this weird, fucked up world. And one of the only criticisms I have of the movie is like I wish I could know a little bit more about the Citadel. And one thing that I noticed was cut from when I saw earlier, and this was a scene that I liked that, you know, I'm sure it'll be on the DVD, but when you first go to the Citadel and you see all the 99% people and they're getting their little water, you know, and they're just brown and dirty and disgusting, there is a woman from this group, and she has a baby, and she goes up to like one of the war boys who's like being lifted back up on the little deal, and she's like, "Hey, I'm a mother. I'm lactating. I could be a a mother's milk lady or whatever." And he's like looks at her and he's like, "Ah, you're too old," or like she's got lumps or something. Like, "Yeah, you got cancer. We don't need you." And then she's like, "Well, then take my baby. Take him for a war boy." And he looks at the baby and he's like, "This fuck thing out of here," and like throws it back at her. And I thought that was really great because it showed where the war boys come from. They come from all those people on the ground, and they donate kind of their children to Immortan Joe for his army because they think that will be a better life for them. And it kind of is. And like that's how fucked up this world is. It's like that is a better life, being a crazy war boy, which is pretty rad, super rad. I really enjoyed too the idea that you have like separate towns, like each town kind of does something. Like you had the bullet farmers who make all the ammunition. You have Gastown, which I assume makes guzzling. And then you have the Citadel, which I guess they make like have food and water or something. So like they got like an alliance going on where they kind of work together and supply each other with things that they need. I thought that was a really awesome idea. And I loved when they all are going after Furiosa, and you have the guy from the bullet farmers, and he's just like, all this over a family squabble, it's like, we don't, because they know that they have limited resources, but it's just like, like, Immortan Joe's gotta get his bitches back, it's like, he just won't rest, and he's willing to get rid of all the bullets in order to get them back. So let's get into the characters for a second. I really enjoyed the idea of the war boys. It's like a cult, they have all these Viking references, it's very skinheadish. I liked that in the movie, like, okay, so they're presented these like crazy assholes, and they are crazy assholes, but then you get to know the character of Nux, and then you also see like the wives, and they're like, they're fighting once, and they're like, these are just kids, they don't know any better, and like once you get to know Nux and you see how he's so willing to sacrifice himself for Immortan Joe and his cause. And then he does this like character change where he's like willing to sacrifice himself for the girls and for Furiosa and for something that is real, because Immortan Joe is just using them. And not to say that he's not being used there too, but they actually care about him. Immortan Joe doesn't actually care about any of those war boys, it's just like they're just fodder for him, But Nux's character was fantastic. I loved the scarification V8 on his chest. That was so cool. I was really into that. Nicholas Hoult did just such a fantastic job with that character. Furiosa obviously was like super badass. She looked so cool. I loved it when she got the axle grease and like smeared it back on her face, and I loved her shaved head and her cool arm. It was so cool to see somebody with an amputated weird arm going on there. I don't know if she was born like that or if she lost it. Man, like I love that scene so much where Mad Max, he's got that big gun and they have like 3 shells left, and there's the bullet farmers are coming for them, and they see the light in the darkness, and like Max is like taking shots and he's missed twice and they only have like 1 more bullet, and Furiosa comes up behind him and she's just like she's like even doing like the pose of how she would hold the gun, just like, but she's trying not to be rude and say anything, but then he's just like, fine, take it, and she like steadies it on him and shoots out the light, which is like super awesome because like that's one thing, like as a girl, I see in movies a lot when they're trying to, I feel like a lot of movies pander to girls in a lot of ways where they're like, oh, we're gonna show you Mila Jovovich, she's gonna kick everybody's ass and she's fucking 100 pounds, and like that just seems like condescending to me. It seems pandering. Whereas with Furiosa's character, it's like a woman would be able to shoot a gun just as well as a man, theoretically speaking. Like, I believe that. Like, it's yes, like she would be able to shoot that gun just as good, if not better than Max. It didn't seem like condescending, it seemed realistic. And just and I loved how he was just like, all right, take a shot, and she did it, and it was awesome, and like they just didn't talk about it again. It wasn't a whole thing, there was no ego involved. It was great. I really liked that scene a lot. Let's see here. Mad Max, I talked about him a little bit earlier, but Tom Hardy, good job, love it. Keep going. I'm kind of hoping to see another one of these movies. Although I don't know. It's like, how are you going to top this one? This one's so good. Like, Immortan Joe, obviously, he was super rad. I loved his look. Just, man, that face mask was so cool. Like, I don't know exactly what's wrong with him, but I love that weird respirator thing, and then the hood that would come up and like breathe for him and stuff. It was like super rad. It is funny. One thing I noticed, I was looking at IMDb of the cast. The guy who delivers the baby, he is billed as the organic mechanic. So I think it's really cute how in this future everyone's a mechanic, you know, even a doctor. He's not a doctor, he's an organic mechanic, you know. I thought that was a nice touch, you know. Also, you gotta talk about the Doof Warrior. You gotta talk about the dude with a guitar, you know, blind dude. That was just so over the top and ridiculous and everything I needed in my life. It was fantastic. I think that's about it, man. Just Fury Road's badass. All those practical cars, you know, I'm so excited to see in my Facebook feed. I see all these like different articles talking about how they did all the effects and stuff like that. I'm so glad that people are getting an interest in this sort of stuff again, or continuing their interest in this sort of stuff. That doesn't seem to be fading away. It seems to be only getting stronger, especially after you see a movie like Mad Max where you're like, holy fuck, like why aren't we doing more practical stuff? Like this is fucking awesome. I mean, I know it's difficult to actually do this sort of stuff and not just have some people on a computer in a little sterilized room doing it, you know, whatever, I get it, but it's just, the effect is just fantastic. I think it's totally worth it. So I highly, highly recommend going to see Mad Max Fury Road. Let's give this movie all of our money. It's the best thing at the box office right now, at least in my opinion for me. And it's also kind of not doing well. I mean, like Perfect Pitch 2 beat it at the box office. And that's the thing that I feel like a lot of people don't understand about movies is like, we are the ones who fund movies. It's not the studios. It's us. So because the thing is, studios are terrified, okay? They're shitting their pants all the time. They don't know what the fuck to do, okay? These assholes are just terrified all the time because they're sinking $200 million into movies and stuff. I mean, that's terrifying. That's really scary to like make that sort of commitment. But like, if we just like band together, put our money towards something that's awesome, you're gonna see more stuff like that, you know, because people, the producers are gonna go, oh wow, all these people are giving their money to this thing. Well, that gives us confidence in putting our money in something that's similar to this, you know, and keep going in this direction, you know. So I highly recommend spend the money, don't pirate movies, you know, like I would totally give Mad Max more, like I'll go give him more money. And speaking of supporting awesomeness, right now, you can get your very own 18 by 24 Zealot poster of my awesome cosplay. I'm so proud of it. You can get it personalized, signed, and kissed for $40. You can go to our store. It's cbg19.bigcartel.com, and there'll be a link in the description. But yeah, definitely check this out. Help support our show so we can make more awesome stuff for you, too. And we are shooting on a potato cam today because we were hard at work funneling all of our sexy cameras editing into our Epic History X-Men Volume 2. We're shooting for mid-June. Stay tuned. We'll let you know how it goes. It's been touch and go, but got the tiger by the tail. We're going to talk all about the Phoenix, Dark Phoenix. It's going to be rad. Press your friends at parties. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching.